Okay guys, here we are. It's just knocking on the door at 9 PM Saturday night, and we have a match in the VP4 US Open. It's a round 3 match between Mr. Strokem and ZeCarioca, and the room should be up any second now. And just prior to that happening, let's have a quick look at the bracket, because we've got a result come in today, and that was between Yamaguchi Taro and Cue Ball 70, and Yamaguchi Taro trounced Cue Ball 70 16-3. Unfortunately, I wasn't there to see it. And last night at midnight, and I have to say that I predicted this scoreline in the lobby, in the chat. Larry has beaten Marcellus by 16 racks to 12, and he's through to round 4, where he will play Cobra. Now that is going to be Larry's toughest match in the tournament. Cobra is very good player, and hopefully he turns up for the match, because it will be a good match to see. And this is a match that we are going to watch hopefully in a minute or two, or right now. In fact, the room's up. Let's not hang about, let's get in. And they're lagging off right now, I would imagine. Hopefully that's what the problem is. Right, Mr. Strokem has won the lag. Let's have a quick look and remind us where the players are from. We've got Mr. Strokem for the States, ZeCarioca from Brazil. Now, this could be a fairly even match. I haven't seen a lot of Mr. Strokem play, but what I have seen was in a challenge room either during the week or last week, and he's a competent enough player. If he keeps it tight, then he can certainly do some damage in this match. ZeCarioca tends to flash at some balls. We'll see if he does any of that. You make your own mind up. But he can pop balls. So a reminder again, I keep reminding people, this is a race to 16. The rules are it's alternate break. There are no jump cues in the tournament. You can jump with your playing cue if you can. And the 9 ball is live on the break, meaning that if it sinks on the break, you win the rack. Now, I'll apologise straight away. It is just after 9 PM. My body clock's telling me I should be in bed again, up at 4 AM tomorrow morning. And the other news is, for anybody who's interested, is that having spoke to Mr. Bill earlier on, although the match isn't scheduled in the bracket, he's hoping to play Yamaguchi Taro in his next match tomorrow afternoon UK time, somewhere around 2:30ish. Hopefully he does, because that means I can get home from work and get to see it. So we're getting a bit of safety backward and forward here at the moment in this first rack, and that'll give me time just to check how things are going here. And get my little doodle thing to work. Try that. How come when you do a circle it goes to a square? And that just went to a triangle. Well, that's going okay. So Mr. Strokem at the table, and just needs to Well, he's gone straight on this 8 ball. This is what you don't like. He's got a slight angle. He can squeeze an angle. And he's managed to get there. Almost get there. He's not looking right down the line, but should be able to pick the angle. So Mr. Strokem wins the first rack. He's off and running. And that was with the break. So the break now goes to ZeCarioca. And the breaks come up dry. I'm going to change my mouse because I don't... This is my plain mouse that I'm using for VP4, but I don't like it for if I have to use the little doodle machine. I'll plug in my one of my many reserved mice. In fact, no, I won't even plug that one in because that one twitches about a bit when it's sitting on the mat. I'll get my other one in. That's the mice, that one there, that's my rat mouse, that one, and this one here, if I can't, aye, that one there, that's my old truss mouse, micro mouse, little dinky thing. And I've got an old Microsoft mouse that I've been using for goodness knows how many years, but that's the one I prefer for Virtual Pool 4. Right, so I've got my Rat 3 mouse plugged in. I think I'm good to go. Double check the settings right. DPI's at the right setting. So we can concentrate in the match. Yes, apologies, it's late at night, so my brain starts to freeze up. So I usually do make mistakes anyway during the match anyway, so there'll be nothing new. And Mr. Strokem, well, it's difficult to say whether he was playing a pot or a safety there because he's actually got on the 4, and I presume he played the pot. And ZeCarioca nearly got lucky there. If that 3 ball had just ran a little bit more, he would have nudged that 6 in. The 7 ball does go, I think. Let's have a closer look. Oh, there's plenty of room, but the problem's always just getting on it right. And this needs to spin and miss the 4, and it has done. So here's the crucial shot, getting on the 5 in such a way to get nice on this 7 ball. It all looks too simple, but you'd be amazed at how things can go wrong. Well, he's got the angle in the 5, so he's got to just draw up to that left middle pocket. And that, well, I think the safest shot would be to nudge onto the 9 because he's going to nudge it to the rail. And that's a good shot. Now you've got a choice, you can nudge this in dead weight or run up past the 9 and back down the table. But that's letting the cue ball run free, so he played the little roll up. So Mr. Strokem opens up the gap immediately, 2 racks to 0. And I've gone all festive for my background. Merry Christmas 2017. We aren't even there yet. And a quick check at the stream. The stream looks good. It's not buffering, it looks fine. Well, push out played by ZeCarioca. A tempter for Mr. Strokem, and he's going to run into the 3 ball and the 6 ball if he plays the cut in the 1. And he's going to have to chance his arm if he's going to get a shot in the 2. He's went for some sort of slam ZeCarioca. Why did I think it was Mr. There's the first mistake there. I thought it was Mr. Strokem that was at the table. But it's definitely Mr. Strokem now. So ZeCarioca had a slam at it. And I think Mr. Strokem tried the billiard in the 9 there. So here's the first real chance for ZeCarioca to see if he can run out. But he's going to have to do work with the 4 ball. 4 balls tied up against the 8. And has he blocked himself? Well, he can't get to the potting angle. If he does, he's going to hit the 9 first, so he's now going for a possible combo there. And this is, I think, where ZeCarioca is going to be found out if he keeps that type of shot up. And Mr. Strokem doesn't get involved in any of it, then he should be able to pick off the racks if he can pot the balls and run out. That's the challenge. And as I say, I haven't seen enough of him to make that judgment. But the one thing he needs to do is to take the chances when he gets them. And ZeCarioca, well, I don't think he'll change his style. The question is whether he can string enough balls to win racks, and that's the question that's going to be answered by both players one way or another. I can't call this match at all. But Mr. Strokem's back at the table. And you can see he's playing with enough confidence that he knows what he's doing, so he's going to be more than a match for ZeCarioca. But that needs to slow up. Now it's gone dead on the rail, I think. Now, that is tough. And that was always going to be the problem there. That nudge on the 9. And this is a gift for ZeCarioca. An unexpected one, but it gets marked down as an unforced error. Those type of little mistakes. I mean, if that 9 ball was anywhere off the rail, it would have been 10 times easier to cut it. And when they're on the rail, you've got to get them flush with the cut for it to hold the rail and go into the pocket. So 2-1. Once again though, ZeCarioca's broke off. Dry break. Balls are spread beautifully here. It's a little join the dots pattern again. You pot the 3. Just come off the end rail slightly. That will do. No heroics with the 4. Just push the 5 down the rail. You're on the 6. Leave an angle in the 6 to get up onto the 7. That's the plan. Let's see if we can follow it through. Now, that's enough of an angle. He's just going to have to punch it a bit more. And now the crucial one. He can go forward off the 7. He can go to the left and behind the 9. And he's gone to the left, but he's gone too far, or he's not gone far enough. So positional error might be costing him again, and it certainly looks like it. And that's 2 mistakes by Mr. Strokem when he's had the rack at his mercy. And he certainly doesn't want to keep that up during the match, because we're now all square again. So what could have been an excellent start, it should really be 4-0. But it's now back all square, and Mr. Strokem's only himself to blame. So he breaks off in rack number 5. And the 8 ball has gone in. He's on the 1, and guess what's going to happen next after he pots the 2? Well, disaster. Oh, he's missed a 1. I didn't even notice he had missed a 1, and that's an even bigger disaster. So ZeCarioca, now here is something that he should be using his head here, because he's trying to kick the 2, And if he misses it, he's going to give ball in hand, and it's going to be a 3-9 combo. So if I was him, I'd be doing something to split the 9 and the 3 up. And that was a wise shot, because he's given ball in hand, and that then gives Mr. Strokem no choice but to go for the run out, and so the pressure's on to actually do it. So ZeCarioca's taking that risk. He's saying to the player, well, there's the challenge, and he's already got himself in the wrong side of the 3 there. Had to play that with bottom right English, and he's played it well. But the challenge is there. Can you run out? And let's see if Mr. Strokem's up to the challenge. Well, he's failed twice, and he's failed a 3rd time. Well, he's got cover in the 7, but plenty of room for ZeCarioca to kick this in. And he's going up and down by the looks of it. I thought he'd have went off the rail. Looks easier to do it off the rail, because if he gets on the inside of the 4 near the rail, he'll punch it out into the table, which is what he's done. Maybe not the wisest of shots. He had to get that spot on if he was going to knock it in. So that's 3, well, I wouldn't say glaring errors, but bad mistakes, we'll put that down to, from Mr. Strokem. Maybe he'll settle down, maybe he'll warm up. Both players have been in practicing for about an hour before this match started. They were both locked in their own rooms, so they had plenty of time to get their pace sorted. Well, there's a bit of good fortune. Mr. Strokem's kicked in the 4. Oh, he's going to make a hash of this as well. Oh, that's bad. I don't think he can cut that in. I think he's way beyond it. Is he? Well, if he feathers that at 100 mile an hour, it might go in off the jaw, but he's looking to kick it. And that's a better shot. That might get... No, it's the same thing as ZeCarioca. And he's going to go for the kick. Surely behind the 9. That was well played. I don't want him to be disturbing the players with chat scrolling up and down. Right, so Mr. Strokem's finally won another rack. He's got himself into the lead. 3 racks to 2. Well, if Mr. Strokem's learned anything from the first few racks, he certainly needs to tighten up in his positional play. And then he's maybe just hitting it a wee bit too heavy with some of the shots, just running offline. Now this will be good if it misses the 5. Well, the nudge will do, that's even better. And he's left a perfect angle. Good evening. Now remind me who you are again, because I can't remember these bloody silly names that people have on YouTube instead of their VP4 name. So ZeCarioca looks as if he's going to square the match. Oh, it's Popman. Oh, no, is that the wife's name or something? I can't remember. Well, seeing as you're the only one that's talking in the chat, Popman, I was talking to Bill earlier on, and Bill was asking what time would suit me if I'm going to try and stream his match with Yama, and they're looking at a possibility of 2:30 tomorrow afternoon. Now I'll still be working at 2 o'clock. I finish my shift at 2, but Sunday will be quiet in terms of the road. So I'll be able to fly home and not have anything to eat, just come straight in and put the PC on and hopefully catch the match. And to be honest with you, this will be Yama's toughest match so far. I don't think he's played anybody really apart from the fact he's hammered Cue 70. Who, let's be honest, has not played VP4. I bet he's not played VP4 any more than about 6 hours since it was launched in 2012. Well, he's certainly not online, I know that. I don't think they've got it up in the bracket yet, but I think they'll just arrange that tomorrow if the two of them show up. Anyway, back to the match. We're getting distracted here. We're at 4-3 now to ZeCarioca. So Mr. Strokem has lost his lead, and he should still be in the lead if he'd taken those 3 chances that he had. Looking for the push out. Now, where does he push it to? Up in the top right hand corner, or sort of parallel with the 1 ball on that end rail, and the diamond would do it. Well, ZeCarioca has been known to give this 1 ball a slam and try and knock the 7 in. Let's see whether he's looking more tactfully at it, or is he going for the cut? Went for the cut into the left hand corner. I thought I would go a bit festive with my little Merry Christmas picture that I was searching on Google before the match started. I had to try and find one where the Merry Christmas was sort of to the, well, how is it? It'll be to my right as I'm looking at it. The only thing is my big head is in the way of Christmas. But I've got a Christmas tree on, what side is that? Where the hell's my hand? Oh, of course it doesn't show it. Ah, there it is. Sort of there. Well, here's a perfect opportunity to Mr. Strokem show us what he's made of. See whether he can run these out. And let's have a look at that 5 ball. Well, that 5 ball goes in no problem. They say it goes in no problem provided you've got a good shot on it. The higher the angle you have in that 5, the more likely you are to cut it into the 7. Now, the safest route is off that end rail with a little bit of inside English to come back down for the 5. And, well, I think he rushed at that, and he's got away with it though. That's another mistake. So this is taking a pattern very early on in the match, and it's clear that ZeCarioca is going to have a fair few chances, because Mr. Strokem has put in 4 or 5 1-4-sterers already. And he wasn't really that much out of line on that 4 ball, just needed a little feather of inside English so that when the cue ball come off the rail it would come down that way, which he managed to do it, but he sent the cue, maybe put too much on it and sent the cue ball offline, which is why he missed the 4. goes the 6, but ZeCarioca should have been stuck right against that 8 ball. He should have been nailed against it, and he's not got to the rail, and that was another poor shot. So ZeCarioca has won certainly 2, and this will be the 3rd rack where he's just tidied up the mess that's been left by these unforced errors from Mr. Strokem. Well, I doubt he couldn't get to the potting angle of that 8. Obviously he couldn't. Now, lots of power needed here. Get the amp on, get lots of top, and slam the 8 in. That's the only way you're going to get to the 9. You just got to get it plenty of power, and that will do it. So Mr. Strokem has dug him, well, he's got himself out a hole there. ZeCarioca got unlucky. Just didn't get that angle in the 8. And now we're back all square. The brake's dry. Shot in the 1. Got to find the gap to get on the 2. Well, that's one way of doing it. Now, how does that 3 ball look? Well, that's simple enough. Just stop the cue ball. Now, I think he can avoid hitting the 4 and just run through. Take it into the top left. Well, he's played that with a lot of English there to come back across the 5. That's why he missed the 4 ball so wide. So now it's Mr. Strokem's chance to capitalise. Ideally, he would ideal position would have been to get that cue ball over to the right hand rail. Makes it much more comfortable just getting on the 7. But he's done it okay. Yeah, it's a little tester. This 9 ball. Oh dear. He's rushing it too much here. And I think I'm pretty certain when I watched Mr. Strokem in the challenge room, he wasn't playing at that speed. He needs to not get drawn into playing at ZeCarioca's pace. You've got to play at your own pace. There are various ways of sharking your opponent, and one way is to slow the game down and take your time and use your shot clock. You've got to use everything that's available to you to win these matches. Well, may have a chance in a second or two, but that would be my advice. Play the game at your own pace. Don't get drawn into racing at them. So here he goes, ball in hand. 3 ball is slightly awkward. Just needs to make sure he goes far enough to be able to cut it. And he should be going off possibly 3 rails, maybe even 4 to get on this 4 ball. Nope, he's managed to cut it. How's the kiss? Well, that will do it. I thought he might have went round 3 rails, but obviously the angle just to cut it. Well, the safest shot here is get the cue ball into the middle of the table. And, well, it's there. He's just going to have to watch the pace in this. How's that 9 ball on the rail? Well, this time it's off the rail, so oh dear. Well, these slightly out of line positional shots are costing him. Making far too many mistakes. And, well, he got lucky there that he left it so awkward for ZeCarioca, and he's going to steal this. And I think this, if this oh dear. Now that was bad. Well, this match looks as if it could go all the way this is happening. And now I'm wondering why it's only one rack in it. He must have made about 7 or 8 poor shots so far. But there's always plenty of time for the tide to turn and get his act together. Mr. Strokem goes to the bank. The 9 ball come off the rail, made the bank much easier, and we're all square again. A good break, and unfortunately no shot in the 2. Well, if you can see the thin edge, you can cut that 2 onto the right rail. Well, I would have went for distance there. I don't think he could see enough of it to do it, probably. Well, how does that look there? Well, he'll take that. Well, now I'm having my doubts as to whether Mr. Strokem has the game to be able to take this rack out. Let's see if he can prove me wrong. Let's have a look at that. Well, he's going to have to spin this a little bit, I think, or maybe just roll through to the pocket, and that's what's caught him out again. He should have actually just rolled through to where he is now without any spin on it, and he would have still had a simple enough cut in the 7. So it's cost him yet again. Far too many mistakes. But the other thing I'm going to say, and I've said this about a few players, I'll say this in his defence. He's one of these other players who does not play a lot of Virtual Pool 4 online. If he does, he's playing at US time, and I don't see him because I certainly don't see him online an awful lot, even when I'm up late at night on days off. I don't think I've seen him a lot. Well, this is a tester for ZeCarioca. And it goes, and back into the lead. Dry again. Now, how's that 1-9 combo looking? Pretty good. Well, that's a quick way to get yourself back on level terms. The 3 balls going in. Well, he's got a good opportunity for a good safety here. Bank the 2 back across to the end rail here at the bottom of the screen and get the cue ball hiding up at the top right hand corner. He's went all out for a bank onto the 2, and a bit of a far-fetched attempt there, I'm afraid. Now this is one thing I was talking about, and I've spoke about it before. You can't be one-dimensional to be competitive. If your one dimension is trying to pop balls all the time and not using a bit of strategy, the end results are going to have to be telling you something. Now that called for a good safety there. Run to the long grass at the top end of the table. He had the angle off that ball to go there and run up there and hide up here somewhere and send a 2 ball to about there. That's exactly the shot I would have played. And he might pay the price for it. Where's the cue ball going? It's okay. Now this, just a little run over to the right hand side, not too far. Leave a straight 9 ball. And at the moment, ZeCarioca's not having to do a lot to win racks. He's not being put under pressure. And Mr. Strokem is doing his best to help him. If you've seen enough of the match, you'll see plenty of evidence of that already. So it's now 7-6. And Mr. Strokem can only help himself by using a wee bit more ingenuity. And cutting out these errors, because they've cost him a good 5 racks at least, has to be. And this is about a good judgment of pace here. Well, he's gone the opposite side of this 5. Now how does that look? Well, it's tight, but it goes. That's a good shot. And he's got the little angle just to come out behind the 8. And there's a mistake. And it's sitting dead on. And Miss ZeCarioca is going to snatch another one. No excuse for that at all. So the gap has now been opened. It's now 8-6. Well, I think that 2 balls out of the game up there. That is it. Let's have a look. Well, that can certainly go in. It's not going to go in from that side though, I don't think. But he's played a good safety. Easy enough kick though. I think he can avoid the 9 ball. Well, he's got the little nudge in the 6, and that makes his life a lot easier. A little helping nudge has opened it up and freed it away from the 7. It'd be interesting to see a player actually changing their strategy a little bit during the match, because now Mr. Strokem has to come up with something, because he's looking very likely that he's going to go 3 racks behind. So it's now 9-6. ZeCarioca is more than halfway home in the race to 16. And he's breaking off. And this time, no joy. Now, once again, distance would be the order of the day on this shot. Get the 1 up the table and the 2 ball, the cue ball back at this end. And it looks as if that Mr. Strokem went all out for the cut there. I mean, that's, you've just got to rein yourself in a bit here. It just isn't working. Well, the old slam dunk there, and he's come out on top. Left Mr. Strokem hooked, and somehow he's managed to nudge the 8 in. And he's going to have to just slam at this or play a decent safety if he can, to try and nudge something in. But all he's done is free up the 4 and the 6. And ZeCarioca can drop right behind the 4. 5 ball over the middle pocket. And as far as Mr. Strokem's concerned, this match has taken a bad turn, but he really has only himself to blame. Got to work on the strategy a bit, in my opinion. But that's the snooker brain in me talking. You will just not win matches by going all out for every pot. It just does not happen. It doesn't matter how good you are. You've got to know when to leave it alone and play the decent safety shot. Well, this is a little thin one. So in it goes, and the gap has now gone to 4. No joy this time for Mr. Strokem. Well, that was a good shot. Played the 1 ball onto the 9, played the bank, and very quickly it's gone to 5. That's the type of thing that ZeCarioca's prepared to do. Now surely now, with a 5 rack deficit, Mr. Strokem has to react in one way or another. And we'll see if he actually uses his head a little bit. I mean, it's like if you're breaking off in 9-ball and it's one of those days where your break isn't working, then for God's sake, you change your break, you do something else, you watch what the other guy's doing, you move the cue ball somewhere else and try your break, see if it changes your luck. Well, that's one strategy to try and get a bit of better luck in the break. The other thing is use your head when you're at the table and look at the lay of the balls, think of your chances of running out, and if you don't see a decent shot, then make sure your opponent can't. It's a simple strategy. We're talking just the basics of the game. And you can start straight away by winning this rack. Now again, a simple shot. Just roll the 8 in and leave the 9 into the left middle. Nothing elaborate. So it's now 11-7. A ball dropped into the middle. The 5 ball is gone. Now here's a perfect example. There isn't a real bank on there. There's not a cut on. There's a thin cut into the middle. But why do that when you can play a decent safety? And that's just nudged out. Just a wee bit too strong. But it's still a lot to ask for ZeCarioca to get on the 2. So he's quite happy to play the thin cut. Cue ball will run up and down the table, and he should be on the 3. I would like to get in the bottom side of this 8 ball. Makes it much easier to get on the 9. Get the cue ball up here somewhere. And that's exactly what he's gone for. And that is fine. Now, I would stun down for the 9, and that's what he's doing as well. If he'd let that run off the side rail at the angle he had, he was going to run probably straight into the 9. So the little stun shot solves that issue, and it's now 12-7. And Mr. Strokem is running out of racks rapidly here. So it's dry this time for ZeCarioca. Mr. Strokem is dead straight in the 2 and just followed it straight into the pocket. Now you get the impression with that shot that he doesn't fancy his chances. And ZeCarioca has just stuck him behind the 6. Now if you don't think you can get the kick, try and tie something up. He's got the kick. How's his luck? and he's got no joy. Well, the problem ball. How's that 5 looking? Does that 5 go anywhere? No, it doesn't. So he's lining up a 5-9 combo. Well, that was asking a lot. But he's got the second prize. Well, that 5 does cut. But that is tough. And ZeCarioca will probably stick Mr. Strokem behind that 6 again. No, he's went all out for the bank. Well, he's going to have to back himself here. If he gets this, so almost a dead cert. Where's the cue ball going to end up? He's okay. Well, the rule again is anything but dead straight in this 8 ball. So he's got the angle. So, in summary, Mr. Strokem has put no pressure on his opponent. He's had the chances to do that, but he's only headed one direction, looking to stick balls in pockets. That strategy hasn't worked, and it hasn't really changed, and it's now 13-7. Well, the fluke in the 4, he's on the 1. He's going to have to do something with the 2 to try and split that 3. Well, I think if he slams the 2 in, he might be able to nudge the cue ball off that rail and get into the 5 and 3. Well, a bit harder, he'd have probably had a lot better luck. A much better outcome. Deep in the pocket, always nasty, and he's left himself short in the 7. But the cue ball should be hitting the 9. Oh, he's missed it. Where's the cue ball going to end up though? Oh, he's okay. But he's dead straight again. And he's on the rail. And this time he's managed to squeeze an angle. So it's 1 back. Still 13-8. ZeCarioca gets the golden break. And so the lead goes back to 6. And he's only 2 racks away. Couple of balls went in. 1 in each middle pocket, I think. And he's on the 2, and the 3 will go past the 6. A little nudge in the 8 will help. Well, the match has been going for 55 minutes. Is it going to break the hour? That's again very straight. He's managed to squeeze an angle again. That's a good shot. But there's a little gift for ZeCarioca, and there's far too many mistakes. That's the story of this match. Too much of a rush. Got caught up in the rush. And it's now 15-8. Well, it's all ifs and buts, but it could have been such a different scoreline. Little thin edge in the 3. I think Mr. Strokem is giving up the ghost. And another tester. It's going to be an 8 ball from distance. He's played that with a lot of spin, avoided the in off. Now does he cut it? Because the bank isn't that good. Well, it looks as if he saved one of his lives. Of course, when you're 15-9 down and it's alternate break, your chances of winning are slim to zero. He's got to move something. Yeah, the angle wasn't great to get into that 3. He was always going to miss it. But once again, no shot for Mr. Strokem. And he has to try and tie something up, but even the position he's in isn't great to do that. Maybe cut that 4 back towards the 5. Well, I don't know what his strategy was there. I mean, he's just simply potted the 4. That may well be his last shot. Banking the 4 off the right side rail towards the 5 to just try and block each ball would have been the best strategy. But having said that, ZeCarioca's hung the 3. Well, you get another chance to redeem yourself. He's going to need a good one here though. This 6 ball is awkward and it needs to keep going. He's gone a wee bit too far and he's obviously going to run up the table, but he should still have a cut in this 7 if he doesn't hit it too hard. Well, anywhere just over to the left. I'm not sure whether he can hold that. No, he's running Too strong, too heavy again. And he needs to watch the scratch here. So he just decided to play the 8 ball to the rail, but that's come off, and that is going to be banked, and the cue ball around the table for the 9. And the 8 ball should have been stuck in the rail, didn't get there. Maybe another case of getting your mouse dialed in as well to get control of that speed. So it's all over. ZeCarioca in the end comfortably wins by 16 racks to 9. And well, Mr. Strokem's going to have a second chance in the one loss side, but he definitely needs to get to the table and get a bit more practice in and working his strategy a bit and cut down those errors, because that's cost him dear. So now, before I go to bed, let's have a look at the bracket, because we'll see who plays who next. Right, let's get rid of that. So the bracket will update. ZeCarioca is moving through to the winners round 5, and he's going to play Bedhead. And well, we've seen how Bedhead's played so far. He's not invincible, but what mistakes he does make, he can very often get himself out of them, and ZeCarioca is going to have to play pretty damn good to stay in that match. That's going to be the toughest opposition he'll have played. So that's the next match he faces. Let's have a look at the... well, first of all, if I can stop this damn thing moving about all over the place. Let's have a look up here again. Shit. This bloody thing annoys me. Now, why did I say he was going to play Bedhead? That tells you I'm falling asleep. I'm looking at the wrong end of the bracket. Bedhead. Yeah, no, I'm right enough. He's still... ZeCarioca's got to play Magician next. Right. You're waffling on. Get to bed. Well, even that match... Now, that was a surprise result that Magician had against Vinces. He beat him 16-11. I think that's going to be a close match between these two. Magician and ZeCarioca. Hard to pick a winner between them, but then again, that last match there I thought would be a lot closer, but Mr. Strokem just did not turn up for the show. Right, let's see if we can get this damn thing to move over to the one loss side and see what's happening there. There's a long way to go there, and the bad news for Mr. Strokem is that he's going to be playing Albinario to stay in the tournament, and Albinario, remember, it's only a race to 11 in the one loss side, and Albinario won his last match 11-2 on that side. Mr. Bill put him over to the one loss side, and Albinario will be strong favourite for that match, and judging by what we've seen tonight, Mr. Strokem is going to be well up against it. Vinces is still to arrange his match with Q-List 2. River City's waiting there for an opponent. Mo for the Pat is through by forfeit to round 6 on the one loss side. And Shibo and Tommy Yu have to play again. That'll be a close match. And the other match, we've got Cue Ball 70. Now, he's already been pummeled by one Japanese player, and he could well get a severe doing in this match as well against Acero, who is a very competent Japanese player. And we've got Tony Sam due to play Marcellus. Now, these are pretty good players. Well, very good players, and they're going to be playing each other to stay in the tournament. So there's a few good matches in the one loss side still to come. And we've got Allergies against Biggs. I would think that Biggs is going to maybe have to up his game to get a result in that match. And that pretty much covers where we are at the moment. But the interesting one, hopefully, I say hopefully, will be this tie here. The match isn't on the schedule, but Mr. Bill assures me that they're arranging their match for tomorrow afternoon round about 2:30 GMT, and hopefully I'll be there for that. So until then, I will bid you good night, and